Welcome students. Good morning. Now in today's class we are again going to see one more problem on journal. You are having a problem which is given again in the next slide. Just look at this problem because the transactions when you come after 12th, there is 20, 22 and 25 which have to come after 14 and 18. So there is a slight mistake. So just adjust because the same problem is going to come in the next slide. So before starting the journal, we'll just see how we are going to prepare a journal or steps that are taken. Yes, now steps to be followed when journal is prepared. First, you are going to assume that you are the owner of a business, and all transactions that are given to you are relating to your business and you are recording it in your books of accounts. Now when I am going to record them in journal, the first step is I have to identify the two accounts that are existing in a given transaction. Remember students, every transaction will have at least two accounts. It can be two or more than two. So there should be minimum two accounts. Only one account cannot be existing in any transaction because it is double entry. So there is a giving and of benefit as well as taking of benefit. So every transaction has to see what are the two accounts which are receiving and which account is giving. So which account is receiving the benefit and which account is taking the benefit has to be seen. So first we have to identify the two accounts in the given transaction. Now after identifying the accounts, I have to classify these accounts into assets, liabilities, capitals, incomes and expense. So first I should identify, second I should classify them in the various 5 types of accounts. Now once I have classified, I should apply the rules of debit and credit that is applicable for each and every account which is identified. Next, as per the rules, the account which is debited should be first written and the account which is credited should be written later in the journal. Now after writing or recording the debit and credit transactions, I will give a narration for each journal entry to tell why a particular account is debited and why the account is credited. Next, remember whenever there are certain transactions where we are doing the expenses or receiving the incomes. So whenever expenses are met, it is in cash, and when incomes are received, that is also received in cash itself. So all expenses and incomes are met in cash. Now when I am solving the journal, in the slide I have given this particular mark, decrease and increase. So if the arrow is showing downward, it is decrease, and if the arrow is pointing upward, it is increase. Now we'll see an example how it is done. Now I'm having commenced business with cash rupees 1 lakh, building 1,75,000. So in this transaction, first I'm classifying the accounts. I have cash account, building account, with both are my assets which are brought in the business. Brought in the business means this amount is already brought, means it is an expense for the owner. So I have made a property or purchased properties in the name of business. Therefore, I have classified cash as well as building, which is an asset. Next, the other account, when I am saying commenced business, that means capital is there, investment has been made. So whenever the word commenced or started is existing, that means capital account is existing in such business. Now I will apply the rule of asset. So what is the rule of asset? Debit increase in asset. So I will have to debit cash account and building account. And the rule for capital is credit increase in capital. So capital is brought in the business, therefore that amount of cash and building are going to exist in business, which became the property. So increase in capital is again credited. So journal entry will be cash account debit 1 lakh, building account debit 1,75,000, because both are existing in the business. And that becomes my initial investment 2,75,000. Now I will give a narration. Started business with cash and building. So this narration tells me why cash account is debited and why building account is debited, because both have been made the properties of business which are going to exist. So increase in property is debited and it is the initial investment. So they are existing in business as long as it is going to stay. Therefore, it is credited. So cash account is debited, building account is debited to capital account 2,75,000. Now remember students, in a given transaction you may have minimum 1 debit and 1 credit, and there can be 2 debits and 2 credits also, or 2 debits 1 credit, or 1 debit and 2 credits. So if there is 1 debit and 1 credit, it is a simple journal entry, and if the debits are more than 1 or credits are more than 1, it is treated as compound journal entry. So this entry becomes a compound journal entry because you are having 2 debits and 1 credit. Now one more example, paid salary. Now here salary is a expense. So rule for expenses, debit, because without paying salary to the employees, my work is not done or I am not earning profit. Therefore, it is increasing my expense. So the rule is debit increase in expense. Now salary being expense, it has to always be paid in cash. So cash is asset. So I will have cash account is on the credit side. So cash account is decreasing. So entry is salary account debit to cash account. Narration is paid salary. Now we'll see the problem. Yes, I am having problem. Commenced business with cash 1,75,000 and building 1 lakh. Second, goods purchased for cash 75,000. Third, sold goods to Ramesh 30,000. Fourth, paid wages 500. Sixth, sold goods for cash 10,000. 10th, paid trade expenses 700. Next, cash received from Ramesh 29,500 and discount allowed is 500. Next, goods purchased from Sudhir, it is 27,000. Next, cartage paid is 1,000. Next, drew cash for personal use 5,000. Next, goods used for personal or household use is 2,000. On 25th, cash paid to Sudhir 26,000, discount received 300. Now this is a problem which you can record somewhere and keep, and then we'll see how journal is prepared. Now on top you'll write journal. Now here I have recorded the transactions just for understanding. It is taken. Now you need not prepare this first transaction which shows details of transactions, because the slide has to be moved every now and then. This particular column is being showed. So first transaction says, first I have commenced business with cash and building. Now I will write the date, 1/1/2017. Now what is the account? I have cash and building. Now both are to be debited because they are increasing, both are assets. So increase in assets at the end you can see. The rules for debit and credit for the various is written. So cash account is increasing, so cash account is debited. To building account, amount is 1,75,000. Total will be 2,75,000, which represents my capital. Narration: started business with cash and building. Now again on first I have purchased goods for cash. Now when I have purchased goods for cash, I have two accounts, purchases and cash account. Now purchases being an expense, it is increasing my expense. So when expenses are increased, it is to be debited. So my goods are my cash is being blocked in form of goods, so it is increasing my expense. So increase in expenses debited. Purchase account is debited 75,000. Cash, because I am paying on purchases, it is decrease in cash. So decrease in cash is credited 75,000. Next, sold goods to Ramesh. Sold goods to Ramesh. Sales is a revenue. It generates income to the business. So whenever income is increasing, it comes on the credit side. Now Ramesh, he is not paying any amount, so he becomes our debtor. So debtor is an asset, increase in asset. So increase in asset is Ramesh account debit to sales account 30,000. Next on fourth, I have paid wages. Now wages are always met in cash. Wage is a expense. So wage account is debited because increase in expense. To cash, reduction of cash is done by 500, so it is credited. Narration: paid wages. Next one I am having on 6th, sold goods for cash. Now when I am saying sold goods for cash, cash is generated on sales. So cash is increased, so cash account is debited to sales account. Now sale is a main source of revenue for any business. So sales is a income, it will be on the credit side, 10,000. Now on 10/1/2017, I have paid for trade expenses. Again expenses are occurring, so always expenses will be increasing my expenses. So it will be reducing my cash and increase. Without these expenses, business cannot run. Therefore all expenses are always debited. So trade expenses is 700 and cash account is reduced by 700. So to cash 700. It is paid for trade expenses. Now cash received from Ramesh, rupees 29,500. Discount allowed is 500. Now here cash is received. So when received is there, it increases my asset. So cash received 29,500. Next, I am having the word discount. So whenever discount allowed is there, it shows that there is a loss. So loss and expenses have same treatment. So discount account also is debited. Ramesh, he is our debtor. Reduction in the asset is to be credited. So to Ramesh, 30,000. Next, coming on 14.1, I have purchased goods from Sudhir on credit. Now Sudhir becomes our creditor and I have purchased on credit basis. Therefore, Sudhir is our creditor. So purchases increases the expenses. It is to be debited. Sudhir is a liability because I have to pay him in the very long run or in the future date. Amount has to be paid. So he is our creditor, 27,000. Whenever we take credit transaction, the relation between our business and the supplier will exist till the amount is paid. So we are having Sudhir increasing the liability. Increase in liability is credit. So I have to take on the credit side 27,000. Narration, purchased goods from Sudhir on credit. Next, on 18.1, cartage paid rupees 1,000. Cartage is nothing but it is the amount which is spent on hand carts or any other amount. So it's a transportation expense, small expense on hand carts. So cartage is a expense which is paid 1,000. Now amount of cartage is paid in cash. So cash is reduced. So I will take it on the credit side because decrease in asset is credit. So 1,000. Narration, paid cartage. Next, drew cash for personal use. Now whenever I am drawing cash for personal use, but personal comes, that means it is for private use of the proprietor. You are making it for your private use. So when such private use comes or personal use comes, the word is treated as drawings. So drawings account is reducing my capital. So when capital account is reduced, it is to be debited. The rule is decrease in capital is debited. So drawings account is 5,000 debited and cash also is reduced, which is an asset. So reduction in cash is credit. So I will take it on the credit side, 5,000. Narration, drew cash for personal use. On 22nd, goods withdrawn for household purpose. Now when I say household purpose, that means it is again for my private use. So narration will be purchases. That means I have already purchased goods for my business, but certain quantity up to 2,000 I am using it for my personal use. That means the proprietor is taking those goods which are from his business. So I will debit purchases. Why? It is assumed that the proprietor is purchasing his own goods from the business. That's why purchases account is debited 2,000 to drawings account 2,000, because the proprietor is not paying the amount on such drawings, on such private. He has purchased from his own business. So he need not pay that business. So he is taking it as drawings. So it is 2,000. Next, coming to the next 25th transaction, I have cash paid to Sudhir rupees 26,700 and discount received is 300. Now when I am paying Sudhir, that means my liability is decreased. So decrease in liability is debited. So Sudhir account is debited. Now cash is being paid. That means there is decrease in cash. So cash account also is decreased. Total in the previous transaction, Sudhir has supplied goods or we have purchased goods with Sudhir relating to 27,000. So now when I am paying cash, I am not paying full 27,000. I am paying only 26,700. That means Sudhir has given us discount of rupees 300. So when I have earned a discount from my supplier, it is a income. So income is increased, it is to be credited. So journal entry is Sudhir account debited 27,000, cash account debited 26,700, to discount account 300. So narration is cash paid to Sudhir and discount received. So here we come and end to today's problem. For any difficulties, you all can contact the concerned staff. Till then, goodbye and take care. Thank you.